everybody for attending today's session. My name's Dave Lindeman. I'm a senior consultant with Decision Resources. And the objective of today's session will be to review the latest look and feel of CloudSuite Industrial version 9.01, as well as highlight some of the general features available in this release. So let's take a look at today's agenda. First, we'll review CloudSuite Industrial version 9.01 deployment options and features, giving you the freedom to choose either cloud or on-premise solution. After that, we'll jump into experiencing the look and feel of CloudSuite Industrial version 9.01 with a brief navigational tour and general features review. After we finish that, we'll take a look at Infor Mingle user productivity features, which include user-defined home pages to allow you to consolidate content relevant to your user preference to a single page, as well as some Mingle collaboration and context-sensitive features that will allow you to link some of your internal communications with your business processes. After that, we'll experience Burst, Infor's newest business intelligence and analytical tool. Now, this is an available option to complement your CloudSuite Industrial solution. So let's talk about the deployment options. Two main deployment options being on-premise versus cloud, and Infor truly gives you the freedom to choose depending on your specific need. An on-premise deployment, as most of you are probably familiar with today, is a software license where it's going to be installed and maintained on site, and typically that's going to be done by internal staff. Could be contracted, but the point is it's on site and maintained by your IT staff. The hardware investment and ongoing maintenance is required in that case because it is on site and it has to be housed on the internal hardware. And upgrades will be applied locally by internal staff or contracted. And this is kind of a differentiating point between the two, because an upgrade for an on-premise deployment typically relies on availability of resource or competing projects or things of that sort. So your upgrades may not happen as frequently as they might with a cloud deployment. We'll talk about that in a second. With a cloud or software as a service deployment, this is a subscription-based model. So you're subscribing to use that software, and you'll have simple and secure access to cloud software via a standard web browser, which means there'll be minimal hardware investment. In other words, you'll have your clients accessing the software on the web. Upgrades, maintenance, and support will be included and performed as a service. So as I mentioned before, where upgrades aren't as regular potentially and an on-premise deployment, you'll have continual upgrades being performed as a service with a cloud deployment, and that is truly helping you to future-proof your investment and stay on the most recent release. And then finally, with the cloud deployment, there are some significant bundled benefits with Infor's UpgradeX multi-tenant cloud deployment, and we'll take a look at those on this next screen. So if you kind of focus on the two columns to the right-hand side of this screen, that's showing us which capabilities, which of some of the highlight capabilities are included and optional in your upgrade on-premise and upgrade in the cloud deployments. So the next to the last column, you'll see that there's 4 of the capabilities included, things like your .NET ERP solution, Mongoose development framework, which is the same tool used to develop the entire CloudSuite Industrial system, and also to enhance it and personalize it as you move forward. Mingle home pages and Mongoose reporting, those are all included, and we're going to talk about Mingle home pages as we go further. Optional features in the on-premise deployment are many of those are included in your cloud deployment on the right-hand side. So you can see there's some pretty significant value in that cloud deployment, in that you're going to get features like advanced planning and scheduling and service management, quality management, things like Infor document management. You can see some of the other features or capabilities that are included in that cloud deployment. So it is a significant bundled benefit that you're going to get as a cloud or software as a service multi-tenant deployment. So let's jump over and experience CloudSuite version 9.01. I'm going to jump over to my system. And I'm in CloudSuite Industrial now. And one of the first things that we want to talk about is this graphic. CloudSuite Industrial offers a very broad and deep footprint. And that's what we're seeing here are all the application areas that are covered. But it covers not only some of the traditional processes such as design to build and order to cash and procure to pay, but also things like configuration management if you have custom configured product, or service lifecycle management if you have products that are serviced in the field and have warranty requirements and things of that sort. Human capital management if you have payroll and HR requirements. So this is intended to show you again the depth and the breadth of the footprint, but to let you know that if you are on CloudSuite Industrial and you have the basic functions, you can always add additional functions as they're required, and they'll be fully integrated with the rest of your solution. So you're going to have the full life cycle complement of applications available to you. All right, so let's take a look at some of the basic navigating within CloudSuite Industrial 9.01. Now, for some of you who are on more recent releases of SyteLine, some of this may look familiar. However, you should see a much more cleaner and simpler user interface than you've seen in the past, and you'll see some additional features as well as we go through this. So let's say I wanted to navigate to an item start. All right, so we're going to start by looking at a few ways I can get there. If I go up to my upper left-hand side of my toolbar in the upper left corner of the screen and click on Explorer, you're going to see that the Explorer docks to the left in CloudSuite Industrial. And if I wanted to navigate to the items, I know that happens to be in the modules, so I'm using my menu tree type structure now, and it's within material, and it's in the inventory area. So you can see I've got a listing of all my forms. Now, if I were to click items now, I would go to the items form. I'm going to show you a couple quicker ways to get to that same information. So for example, if I collapse the Explorer and go to my folders, what I've done is I've saved that items form off to my folders or my favorites. And when I click on it here, it's going to access it through that single click, so I don't have to go through that tree structure that we just looked at. Another way I could have accessed that same form, let's go ahead and close that out. I'm going to shrink my Explorer down because you can toggle that docking back and forth, would be to go to my form toolbar exit on the top of the screen and either click open, which will pull up that open dialog, or hit Control-O. So in my case, let's just go out and hit Control-O, the hotkey function, and I'm going to search for the items form. And you see it finds all hits with the word items in it, and I'm going to click OK to open it there. So a few different ways you can open a form. Now, once we're in a form, you're going to notice in this case, I've got a detail form on the left, and we're going to see in a second how the collection of data populates, I'm sorry, on the right, and how the collection of data populates over here in the grid. I'm going to do a filter, so I only want to see, and I could use any or all of the fields I want to filter on, but I only want to see, in my case, all items related to planner code DLL. So I'm going to click on this filter in place or query button at the top of the screen. And now we see 6 records displayed on the left-hand side. All right. This bar in the middle is what we call the splitter bar. So if I want to see more of my grid, and this would expand all the way out to all the fields in the file, I can see that. I can shrink it back. Or if I only wanted to see my grid or my form, I could hit a Control-1 to see only the detail. Control-1 brings that back. A Control-2 shows me only the grid. And again, a Control-2 toggles it back to where we started. So that splitter bar allows me to focus on a record In this case, I'm on the pipe. If I go to the bracket, see the detail over here, and then I've got all my tabs where I can navigate to the various areas of the item master in this case. But if I want to manage records in the grid, I can do that. If I want to manage them in the form, I can do that. If I wanted to update a record, in this case, let's say I wanted to make drawing number ending in A102, I want to make it A105. I'm going to move out of that field, and you'll notice over here on the left-hand side in the grid, I'm seeing a change indicator. That little gold diamond indicates that that's in the change state right now. In order to save that change, I would hit save on my primary toolbar up above. And now that record is validated and saved, and you see the gold diamond go away. Similarly, if I open my grid back up, you'll see that that's changed to A105. I could change multiple records if I wanted to change the 015 to an 018, and I want to change the 105 back to the 102. I could update multiple records in one session by changing them in the grid, and you'll notice again the change indicators are over here. So until I hit save, those won't be saved. Now in this case, let's hit the refresh button to refresh the collection. It's saying, do you want to save your changes? I'm going to say no, and it brings us right back to where we started. I can also do a mass population of data. So if I wanted to do a copy and paste from Excel, let's say I want to add 3 item records from an Excel spreadsheet. I'm going to pop over to my Excel spreadsheet, and we're going to see that here. And I'm going to choose a group of data. Now keep in mind, these are arranged in the same column format that my CloudSuite Industrial grid is right now. Now I'm going to copy those. I'm going to pop back over to CloudSuite. I'm going to go to Edit, and I'm going to click on Paste Rows Append, because I could either append these records, in other words, add them to the file, or I could overwrite existing records, but I'm going to append. And what you'll see is it'll bring in that data on the bottom in this case, and they are validated because I see the blue stars next to them. And if I were to click Save, again, that's going to save those records. So I could enter 10, 50, 100 records in one fell swoop just by doing that cut and paste option. I'm going to refresh this again so we can go back to where we were. Now I'm going to pop over to the form. And we're going to look at something called the ellipsis button in the upper right-hand side. So in some previous releases of SyteLine, you may have seen your button, your power button sitting on the right-hand side that allow you to get to linked forms. Well, with CloudSuite Industrial, what you're going to be able to do here is click on the little 3 dots at the top of the screen, and that's going to display those buttons on the right-hand side of the screen. So they've cleaned up the interface to say, okay, I may not always want to see that, so I can shrink that off, or I can add it back to the screen, depending on how I want to look at the information. So by form linking, what we can do is, I'm on the pipe, in this case, an item in the item master, and let's say I wanted to see item availability. That's going to bring up the item availability for that pipe and show me some of the details. If I go back to my item screen and now choose the bracket, all right, because that form is linked, and I go over to the linked form, I'm going to see the bracket information. So a nice feature in that you can link forms and in a single session have those 2 tabs up and just keep popping back and forth to the records that I want to look at. And again, these were filtered based on some user criteria that I defined. All right, while we're here, let's look at some of the toolbar options at the top. We've hit some of the ones that the edit function. There's an actions function on the top that allow me to go to, if I want to go to the bill of material or customer orders or some other information, we could do that. And there's also some navigational type functions at the top of that. We're going to go back to an option up here in a second, but just the primary toolbar, the one that you're going to most often use, is the second one down. And that's going to have your features like add, delete, refresh, filter. This is first and last record in the collection. And then things like ability to add notes to this object or this item, ability to attach documents, to email information. And if we look to the right, you'll see I can go into form design mode if I have authority, and I can start changing field names, moving fields around, adding buttons, or whatever I might want to do. Because of that Mongoose framework, I've got that capability embedded right in the form design tool there. But there is a feature I wanted to show you while I was here. I'm going to click on View and User Preferences. It's a feature called Theming or Themes. And if I go to Runtime Layout and I do a drop down on Theme, you're going to see that there's 5 themes in this case that are available to me. Some of those are out of the box themes that Infor provides. Others are ones that we've created. Think of a theme as, and if you think of your Windows environment, you do personalization of colors and backgrounds and things of that sort. That's basically what theming is doing. So if I go to my pre-sales theme and I click Edit, it's going to pop open a theme editor. And as an example, like one of the things we can change here would be this tabbed form header up here. So if I click on the tabbed form header, this is the way it appears right now, and you can see that that's consistent with what we're seeing up here. But I can change foreground and background, and I can change sizing and the way that that appears. A more common change in your environment for a user, and keep in mind these are all stored at the user level, would be the toolbar buttons. So I may want to add or remove toolbar buttons based on my preferences for the way I do my job. So as you can see here, for example, I've got the first record and last record unhidden. So move first, move last is unhidden. I could hide those simply by clicking on one of these buttons over here and hide those, or I could add additional toolbar buttons as I see fit to the toolbar. So themes allows me to personalize it without even having to go into any type of design tool and give me the navigational features I want in my toolbar. All right, there's one other feature while we're in navigation I wanted to show you, and I'm going to shrink my Explorer bar. I'm actually going to bring up the customers form. So again, I could do that multiple ways. I could search for it. Another way, I happen to know that I've been in the customers form recently, so it saves the last 10 forms that I've been in, and I'm going to go to customers from there. Now in this case, it defaulted in all the customers right from the execution of that. But I don't want to look at everything. I want to look at a subset of customers. In this case, I'm going to again hit my filter in place or query button, and I'm going to choose only those customers in New York State. So I'm going to do a filter, and there we see all our New York State customers. We're going to do what we call a data view now. A data view is an ad hoc query that I can do on any collection in any of these multi-view forms that I have of information that I want to report on. So in this case, I'm reporting on some information related to New York customers. And in our case, what we'll do is we'll look at totaling sales year to date, maybe order balance, and we'll do some selection and sorting on that. So I'm going to go ahead and go up to Actions, and I could either hit that or I could just right click on the screen and we go to To Form Data View. Now the first view I'm going to get is all the fields in the file because I haven't selected or chosen any columns that I want to display. So it's going to take all the records, those 15 records we looked at, and populate this Excel style spreadsheet. Think of it as kind of an Excel style spreadsheet at this point. But what I want to do is I want to look at only a subset of these columns. Now I could go in and start using my column chooser to do that, but in the interest of time, what I've done is I've created a layout and that I called Sales Summary that displays just a subset of those columns. All right, so I'm still looking at raw data at this point, and we said that we wanted to total sales year to date. I want a total on order balance, and let's group this by type, so customer type. But maybe I don't want to see sales year to date that rows that are 0. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Display, and I'm going to go Show Options. And what you're going to see are options at the top of all my columns. So for example, sales year to date, we said that we wanted to summarize that or sum it. So I'm going to click my Select Summaries button, and I'm going to choose Sum, and I'm going to click OK. So now we see a total down below. I want to do the same for on order balance. Sum that. I also said I don't want to see rows that sales year to date were 0. So I'm going to use my filter button, which is next to the sum button. I'm going to click on that, and I'm going to select, or deselect, I should say, anything with a 0. So click OK there. So now I've got a further breakdown of that information that I was looking at. I said I wanted to subtotal as well by type code. So I'm going to take my type field, I'm going to drag and drop that in the group by area. And now we're seeing summarization for each of those customer types. Now I could also sort descending or ascending by just clicking on a little arrow at the top. I can also expand all these to see all the detail underneath it. I can collapse it. I can also expand them individually. So if I want to just look at my retail customers, and within retail, I want to see the detail on customer 12's orders. So because these forms are dynamic, I can right-click on that customer number, and we'll go down to Open Customer Orders. And that's going to drill right into the open orders for customer 12 in this case. And you can see I can sort through those. Once I'm done with my data view, I can either print it, I can print preview or print it, I can send it to an Excel, XPS, or PDF format if I desire, or I could save the layout. As you saw, I started with a layout that I had saved to choose a select number of columns. So a number of things we can do once we have that. And by the way, you can also move these around. If I didn't want type as far over on the right-hand side, I could just take that and position it, say, next to name. All right, and now that's sitting next to name. So these are very user-friendly type ad hoc reports and analysis that you can do. And again, that would apply to nearly any form you're dealing with in the system. All right, so let's take a look next at something called role-based home pages. I'm going to go over to a screen called Customer Service Home. So think of home pages in CloudSuite Industrial as consolidating information by role. So I'm looking at a customer service home. There's several other home pages out there, buyer home and planner home, and different home pages related to different functions. So in this case, we're talking about customer service. So if we start on kind of the upper left-hand side, I'm in the dashboard view right now, and we'll take a look at a couple of the other tabs up here in a second. But I have some alerts up here. So an alert might be something like past due orders or estimates due to expire. And I could drill into those from here by clicking on the alerts button. Okay, and if I want to see my estimates due to expire, I'll drill into that. So here's the 4 estimates I have that are due to expire. So alerts are nice in that they're going to give you kind of that in-your-face type information that is going to be helpful for, in this case, the customer service role. On the below that section, we have links to all those common areas as a customer service person I might want to go to, things like customers and items and quick order entry. So if I want to go to quick entry, I could just click on that, enter an order, or revise or review an order. When I'm done, come back, and I'm right back to my dashboard. A nice feature within the home pages is this tab called Navigator. And what this is going to allow me to do is navigate to, say, a specific customer. And when I go to, in this case, Gilmore Company, I'm going to see, I'm showing estimates right now. You notice it's filtered by Gilmore, but I could go to orders. I could go to any interactions I might have had with Gilmore, or price and availability. So I can toggle back and forth between these different areas, but it's all focused at this point on Gilmore. And it's not just the tabs we see down here. If I were to go to, as an example, data views, so these are some out-of-the-box data views that you're given. Now it's looking at only at Gilmore's orders. If I wanted to look at their AR history, it's going to populate my AR history data view with that information. And I've got the features in data view that we just saw there. So home pages or role-based home pages are consolidating information by role. Another type of page that we have available in CloudSuite Industrial 901 is what we call 360 pages. Now there's 360 pages, and this is referring to a 360-degree view of customer information. We've also got them for vendor, item, and employee information. So I'm in a customer 360. You'll notice I'm focused on a specific customer, Gilmore. Now I could change that if we wanted to. But think of this as kind of a hub and spoke type concept. I've got the hub being the customer in this case, and I'm seeing some general overview information on this first screen. But on the left-hand side, you'll see these accordion style boxes that I can either open or close. So for Gilmore, let's say I wanted to see a quick view of payment history. Okay, so there's some of their payment stats: days outstanding, largest number of days outstanding, last days outstanding. Or maybe I want to look at some CRM information, some interactions that I've had with Gilmore. So think of it as, I may be on the phone with Gilmore and I want to see anything that we've done with them in recent months, or I want to see orders or some information that's related to Gilmore. So here's an email that we're going to look at in a little while. We had an interaction where Gilmore requested to have a item expedited. Or maybe I want to look at some sales information. So if I go to customer orders, again, because we're focused on Gilmore, this is all, or these are all their orders. If I want to see any one of these orders, I can simply click on it, right click, and drill into the details. So that's going to take me right to that order 515 in this case. So Customer 360, like I said, gives you that hub and spoke type view of focusing on a specific customer in this case, and then branching out to get additional information. And again, there's item, vendor, and employee 360 screens as well. All right, now I'm gonna pop over to the CloudSuite Industrial web client with embedded Mingle user productivity features. You're gonna notice that this looks identical to what we were just in. I'm in my CloudSuite environment here. I'm going to show you a couple subtle differences. One is the fact that I'm in a web browser. So as long as I have access to a web browser, I can access my CloudSuite environment, whether it's from my laptop or a tablet or a smartphone or wherever I might be, I can access this information. The other key feature is we'll see how Mingle, the collaborative and context-sensitive platform I mentioned earlier, it's going to put information at your fingertips and provide collaboration capabilities related to your CloudSuite data. And we're going to see a scenario of that in a bit. But first, let's take a look at another part of the web client up here called the app menu or app switcher. So this is going to show me all my Infor apps that I have access to. In our case, we're going to go to home pages first. So these are the user-based home pages I referred to earlier. And I've created a couple home pages here just to show you an example. You can have multiple home pages. Now, what a home page is again, consolidating information to a kind of a portal-like focal point for my particular preference. And in my case, I've added a number of what we call widgets to this home page. So a widget is any one of these boxes you see that might have, in my case, I've got menus here where I can go out to the various applications, some of the ones we've just seen. Customer interactions. I've got some metrics that are appearing over here for percent on time shipment. And then I've got an item availability inquiry widget down below where I could quickly go in and just check item availability. The customer follow-up widget's giving me some alerting information. So I've got past due orders, and I want to see, for example, this order from Coordinated Industries. If I click on that, you'll see it drills right to that past due order. So again, it's kind of that in-your-face information that you have available to you by simply presenting it on a panel like we see here, and then allowing you that drill back capability from the summary. I can also, I'll show you how simple it is to tailor one of these home pages. So I'm going to go to Edit. Let's say we want to add another pricing widget as an example. So what that does is that puts me in edit mode, and this is the way the screen looks now. Now I could add that pricing widget down here in this open box, but I want to keep everything on a single screen. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to shrink my item availability widget over to make that a little smaller. I can move it, so you can see I can move this wherever I want. We're going to keep it right where it is, and I'm going to hit on the open box. I'm going to hit the plus, and as you can see, there's several, probably close to 150, 200 available widgets that are out there in the system right now, and I'm going to search for the pricing widget. Okay, so it starts finding anything beginning with pricing, and I'm going to click on Add. I'm going to close out of here, and now I'm going to save that. So that's as difficult as it is to change a home page in this case, and that's how you would create it as well. But that's a live function now. So if I were to inquire on an item and click on Get Price, okay, there's my break quantities and unit price. So kind of a quick view of what my pricing would be for that particular item in that case. Now, as I mentioned, you can have multiple home pages. So in my case, I'm looking at this page called Dave's page right now. If I go over to my other page I have available, I have an executive overview page, which again, I have an alerting type widget allowing me to see maybe purchase orders past due or purchasing information. We've got some pipeline value information, some metrics, and a hot list widget. So again, giving you the ability to kind of pull that information in and get it very quickly. Okay, the other feature I mentioned was the Mingle collaboration capabilities. And I'm going to go over to the Mingle collaboration screen, the primary screen, and we'll describe what's going on here. So in the very middle of the screen, I've got what we call activity feeds. Activity feeds are going to be related to either people I'm connected to, things that they've shared or things that I've shared with them, and or things or objects that I'm following in the system. An object could be an order, a customer order. It could be a customer return. It could be an item. So as you can see here, I'm following certain objects. Well, what that allows you to do is continually have these feeds displaying for you on activity that's taking place. So if it was a customer return, you're waiting for that return to come back. When there's activity on that customer return, you're going to see that pop in the activity feed. So you can see in this case, I had an item master, it had been modified. So it notified me that. And then we're going to have drill back links, these purple links that allow me to get to that information. So let's take a look at one of these where, in this case, I shared information I sent, and we're going to see an example of how you do this with Kirk Taylor. I wanted Kirk to review the item specs for the use in an HVAC unit. Well, I also attached a diagram, or it could be a drawing or any common document type so Kirk could see it. But when Kirk got this message, he also got a drill back link. Okay, I clicked on that little purple drill back link, and because this message or this share was sent from the item screen for that pipe, it displays the item screen that I sent that from. And we're going to see how that share function works in a minute. So you can share from any form in the system, and it'll direct that person back to that form when they get that link. The other Mingle feature that kind of consolidates some of that detail that we just saw into what we call the Mingle sidebar or the context apps is up here on the right-hand side of the screen. So when I'm in a screen, as we see here for the pipe as an example, I'm going to see my posts up here on the top. but I'm also going to see some related information down below. And what that is in context sensitive or context sensitive information. So in this case, I'm on this item, this pipe. It recognizes the fact that I'm on that item, and it's presenting me some document management information here. So I'm seeing a picture, I'm seeing a chart, and there's my diagram that we just looked at. If I wanted to drill into a document in for document management, I could just click on that detail link, and now I'm in document management, and now I can start doing things like checking in and checking out and maintaining that document, or I could see the history of that document, and each one of these would display what that document looked like or what changes were made on that document as of that date. All right, so if we go back to CloudSuite Industrial, that context sensitive information, and it's more than just document management. It can be things like metrics, business analytics, and related to maybe the inventory value of this item. So there's a number of in-context type features you can use in the system, and it's, again, bringing all that information electronically together that's related to things that you might, or information that you might need. So let's review a real-life scenario of how you might use Mingle. So I'm going to go back to my Customer 360. And keep in mind, I'm logged in as, in this case, I'm logged in as David Daniels. All right. So David is our customer service rep. And I'm going to go back to my interactions in my Customer 360. So I'm in Gilmore, and we're going to take a look, because what's happened is we've received an email from Gilmore stating that they want to expedite the delivery of this bumper bracket that was ordered on order number DL515, and they want to expedite that by a week. And they've also included a revised drawing, which could either be entered in our document management system or retained locally. Okay, and then they want to know what the status of this request is. The customer wants to know once we've determined if we can do that. So because I'm in the Customer 360, most likely what I'm going to do is I'm going to find that order, that DL515 order. So I'm going to go over to Sales, and I'm going to click on Customer Orders. I'm going to right-click on that customer order, and we're going to go to the details of it. And now what I want to do is I want to check with my production planner on the details of one of the items on that order. In this case, I'm going to click on Lines, and we'll see that there's my bracket, and here's my current due date and projected date. But because this is a job that's been released, I'm going to go to my source button through my ellipsis and go right to the job screen. Because this is a screen I kind of want to direct my production planner to say, hey, can you bump this date up a week? So while I'm on this screen, I'm going to go to the share button in the upper right-hand side of the screen, and I'm going to say, customer is requesting expedite by 1 week. Please advise. And I'll put drawing attached. Okay, now we're going to send this. We're going to what we call tag Kirk Taylor. So I'm going to tag Kirk, and because we're going to tag him and not send it to all my connected users, I'm going to choose that tagged user function. And I'm going to add an attachment. So I'm going to add this bracket drawing so that he can see that, and I'm going to click Share. All right, so that's been shared with Kirk at this point. Now I'm going to log in as Kirk. Okay, and I've got him logged in. You'll see this is now Kirk Taylor. I'm going to go to Kirk's posts, and there we see that information that I just sent as David Daniels to Kirk. Now what Kirk most likely is going to do is he's going to check out that drawing to see if anything's changed, and if everything looks like he can still produce that, he's going to go to the drill back link down below, and he's going to click on that. And again, in the interest of time, he would do Kirk would do his due diligence to determine whether or not this could be produced a week earlier. And in this case, let's say he determines, yes, it can. So we're going to bump that up by a week. We'll let it recalculate our end date in this case. And I could save that with the new due date. Excuse me. All right. So now Kirk's going to go back and respond to that post. So Kirk goes up to his post and he's going to say, I have expedited by 1 week. Reply. And we'll go back to David Daniels. We'll look at David's posts. All right, we'll see his activity feed now shows that Kirk has responded. So most likely what David would do at this point, so you go back to his CloudSuite Industrial 360 interaction screen. We'd go to that interaction that we had from our original customer. I'd drill into that, go to the details. And most likely what I'm going to do is I'm going to reply. And it's a type email. And so now I can go right down here, and we won't do this, but I could go down here and I could type the email to my customer and finish that, that loop. So that's an example of how Mingle collaboration and some of the context-sensitive information that we have can electronically link your internal communications with your business processes. Now, the last thing we're going to look at today is a product called Burst. And again, this is an available option with CloudSuite Industrial. And you can use not just CloudSuite Industrial data, but any other source that's a common source of data. And you can also have those commingled with some of the tools that are available within Burst. Now, this is a business intelligence analysis and visualization tool, and it's going to work seamlessly with your CloudSuite data. But it's going to empower your users to quickly and efficiently get that information they need to make informed decisions. So what we're seeing here is a purchase analytics dashboard, and I've only got a few dashboards loaded. You could have as many as you wanted. One thing we'll notice is in this case, if I'm looking as maybe a purchasing manager, is my delivered in full and on time seems to be running a little low at 9.3%. So I might want to analyze that. Now in my case, the light blue bar over here indicates those orders, the number of orders that are not delivered in full and not on time. That's that NN you're seeing right there. If I go to the right-hand side, those are the ones that were completely full and completely on time. So probably what I want to focus on are the ones that weren't in full and weren't on time. So I'm going to click on that. So now what it does is it's giving me a breakdown of the suppliers, and the major culprit in this case seems to be Wilcox Processes because they've had 16 of those types of orders. So if I click on that, we're going to see in the grid down here on the right, now it's only Wilcox orders. And if I sort that right-hand column, we'll see that there's all our NNs, okay, for not full, not on time. And it appears that in this case, my outside heat treating and plating seem to be the major culprits. So I could get a hold of Wilcox and let them know we need to do something in that area. Another view, just to give you a quick view of a sales type analytics screen, and these can be configured any way that you see fit, would be maybe breakdown of total revenue by year and quarter. And within that, you know, what's planned, ordered, completed. And when I drilled into, say, a quarter, and you notice as I do that, it's going to pop up here on the top to show me what my filter is at right now. I'm seeing Q4 2016, and maybe I want to see a specific month in Q4 2016. And so I can continue to drill further and further, and then maybe I want to drill into details over here in the grid type view. So Burst is truly going to give you that ability to leverage your CloudSuite data and make informed decisions based on the analysis of that data. All right, so let's recap some of what we've seen today. I'm going to jump back over to our PowerPoint. So some of the features that we've seen today include deployment flexibility. Whether it's cloud or on-premise, you're going to have the freedom to choose what's right for your environment. However, at the same time, we did see where the cloud or software as a service multi-tenant solution really gives you some significant benefit in the capabilities that are included with that bundling. We saw a clean, modern, and consistent user interface using the Mongoose development framework. The system is developed using a consistent framework, and any tailoring you do to that moving forward will also use that same framework. We saw home pages, both role and user-based, as well as 360 pages to put that information right at your fingertips and kind of give you that hub and spoke type concept where you start in a summarized fashion and branch out to the information that you might need for your role. And then we looked at Mingle, and we saw how you can foster efficiency through some of that collaborative and context-sensitive information and bring information electronically to bear that is important for your day-to-day business functions. And then finally, we saw the available option of Burst, the analytics and business intelligence solution. So a lot of these features we reviewed are only a subset of the overall enhancements and benefits you could expect if you were to upgrade to CloudSuite Industrial version 9.01. But Decision Resources is ready to assist you in making this transformation happen, and I thank you for your attendance today.